and welcome. This is our week number 3. So my plan for today is to just go through some quick reminders because as it stands right now, the GNUE policy is that we will be online for 2 weeks, which means until March 28th possibly, so this might be our last week of online classes. Maybe I'll see you next week if I'm lucky. Anyways, what I would like to do today is to gently give you some reminders about online classes and how your attendance is marked. And also if you're absent, it doesn't matter if you're absent in actual class or if you were absent when we had actual in classes, or if you have for some reason missed the online class, then I'll discuss that further, and then we'll get into week number 3, and we're going to take a look at our textbooks as well to take a look. So I'm looking now at our, I'm going to add our slides. Okay, so our slide numbers should be there now. Yep, they're there. So if you look in the bottom right-hand corner, you will see the slide number, so that I will explain as I'm moving through the slides what slide number I am looking at. And then hopefully you can follow along. So I'm going to move to our first slide. So our first slide is just to introduce once again that we are on week 3. What we're going to do today is we're going to look at some basics for organized writing. This is a global standard. Almost everything I teach is a global standard. So what we're looking for here is some basics to writing that will help you in your own writing, but also that you should be teaching your future elementary school students. So this is a very, very practical point for you in your own careers as teachers, but also definitely as for your future students too, because of course that's our point, is to help our students. So anyways, looking at slide number 2, of course I want to discuss our online classes and to remind you once again how I mark your attendance for online classes. So again, if you have any questions, don't be shy and write. I've had quite a number of students write to me. I have sent, again, you should get your emails responded to within 3 days. If not, give me a shout. I'm here. Online classes. So remember please that you should be watching the video at the same time as the PowerPoint. Now, I'm not putting my videos into the PowerPoints anymore because the files tend to be too big, and then I have problems uploading them to the GNUE site. So I'm going to leave it as 2 separates, and then it's up to you to watch the video and complete, watch the PowerPoint at the same time as you listen to the video. You don't need to watch the video, of course. Preferably not, I imagine. But you should listen, definitely should listen. Anyways, secondly, you have 6 days to watch the video and to submit your homework. I think that this is more than enough time. So if you have any problems at all, of course, don't be shy. Let me know what the issues are, what's happening, what's going on with you. And of course, I'll help you in any way that I can. So you've got 6 days essentially to watch the video, complete the homework, and then submit the homework. This week, no pictures. Okay, so from this week onwards, if we are online, please do not submit pictures anymore. If you submit pictures, the files tend to be really large, and so there are issues with uploading them. And also remember that, you know, our class focus, the language is English, so you should be using English for your answers. Now, of course, I'm not going to hold that against you. You would not lose points for using Korean, especially at the start. because you have to get used to this type of class. But, you know, slowly as we progress, you will need to do that. So even, you know, of course using Korean is fine, but you would need to use it using English letters. So this is, you know, the purpose is that in the future you will almost definitely at some point in your teaching career have multicultural students, which in Korea means one parent is Korean and one parent is foreign. You may even have children which have two foreign parents, and perhaps their language at home is English. English tends to be a business language, so that most countries teach English as a middle language. Anyways, moving on. So if you have watched a video and you have completed the homework and you have submitted the homework, you have attended class. Okay, so this is how I check it. If you submit the homework late, you have up to 1 week, then you are marked as late. If you are late 3 times submitting your homework or late to class 3 times, they are the same, then that means you have basically gotten 1 absence. You lose the points as if you had an absence. After 1 week, okay, so you have the 6 days to watch complete the assignment, then you have 1 week after that to submit the assignment late. After the 13 days, you will be considered absent and you cannot make it up. So please, please, please be careful. I have moved on now to slide 3. So slide number 3 is about absences. Now, of course, you know, there are many, many reasons why you could be absent legitimately. I have no problem with that, but do please let me know. You need some proof of your absence. So if you did have corona, for example, I need some document from your doctor or the hospital, and it needs to show your name and it needs to show the date from when you went to get checked and when your quarantine period ends, basically. Also, please, when you email me, include your student number and your name in both the subject line, so what you see when you first look at your email, and also in the email itself. Please try your best, because inevitably, if you leave it to the last few weeks, then I will have less time to help, basically. So this is what we're going for. Okay, we're going to move now to slide number 4 and move into our textbook. So what I want to do here is to start with one of our focal points for this semester. And one of the basics for organized writing, one of the big differences with English is that English loves counting. When we use English, I believe 80% of nouns, 명사s, 80% of nouns are countable. Okay, so this is a really good practice to get into, and I find for my students, especially higher level students like yourselves, that writing is usually the first connection for students to make, especially when you're producing the writing, when you're making the writing yourself. So what I'd like to do is take a look at our textbooks, and we're going to look here at the basics for organized writing. We're going to use some vocabulary, which is really, really practical for you as teachers. So we're going to look at the vocabulary and look at why in my slide I have added a, and why in our books we don't have it. So what I want you to do here is I want you to begin to see, okay, when we add the then we show it as an object. We show it as a countable noun. All right, so we look at the vocabulary. We have letter, and actually we should say a letter. So in this case, of course, we can have a letter that you write to somebody, but we as teachers look at letters as A, B, C, D, E. The next is, of course, we move from letters, which are A, B, C, D, E, to words, which is when we combine these letters to make something else. So, of course, for words, we need to choose how many. So we're going to choose a word, meaning one of many words. Next, we're moving on to a period. What's a period? Now, I'm going to go through this really quickly because These should be relatively familiar. If you're not sure, of course, look these up in a dictionary and make sure and write it down, because we will be using these words almost every week. The next word, of course, is a period. So a period has a variety of meanings, but for us as teachers in talking about writing, we're going to use it to refer to the jum that's at the end of the sentence. And then, of course, we move to sentence. So when we have periods, of course, we can have one period or we can have many periods. But if we refer to one, then we say a period. You cannot refer to it without the a. So this is why I want you to start getting into the practice, and this is why I chose the is because I want you to start thinking about this. So we've moved from a letter to a word. We've got a period and a sentence. So a sentence is something that usually starts with a capital letter, and we have many words, or a few, depending, words in it, and then a jum at the end. And that is one sentence or a sentence. So usually in English we don't say one sentence or one word unless we really want to show it is specifically just one. If we want to say kanyang, I usually say kanyang one, then we say a. So a sentence is capital da 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 and to the period, and a paragraph, of course, is many sentences together. To follow now. I want you to get in the habit of including these words for you as students, because these are really simple and really practical points for you to use with your future students. So if your students are reading, or if you are reading anything in English and you see a momo, then you know it's a myangsa. You know it's a noun. It's countable. And in the same case, if we see to something, to follow, then we know it's momoda in Korean. So it's a verb, it's a dongsa. So to follow means to come directly after. So for example, I'm not sure how it works, but I find often a lot of students translate Korean. In English, actually, you would say copy, to copy someone, to do the same thing as somebody else. And they translated it to follow, but to follow in English simply means to come after something. Unindent. Okay, so here, of course, we have a noun, a myangsa, indent, beginning with I. This may be a new one for you. So what I'm going to do is pick up a book that I just happen to have, and we're going to take a look at the starts of the paragraphs. So an indent, I'm just going to have a look at my camera here to make sure you can see it. So an indent, we can see, is this little space at the start of a paragraph to show we're starting on a new topic or a new idea or something along those lines. So of course we need the N with the A, so we have indent, because indent starts with A, E, I, O, U, right, our vowels. And also it has a vowel sound, okay? This actually is important as well. So we have an indent, and then we have a title. So of course, this is an example. We've got a title here. So here's our title, Spectrum Language Arts. This is one title, so this is why we use Daemunja, big letters, if you remember. And any titles for books, any titles for movies, songs, anything like this, we would use for that title. Then next we have capital or big letter. So usually for my younger students, maybe grade 3, 4. It depends on the student's level, but usually lower level, I use big letter because it's easy to understand. And actually I vary it because it's a really simple way to get students used to using big and capital and understanding that they have the same meaning. They are synonyms. So capital letter is a capital letter, which we will see. You can see even just for week 3, week has a capital letter, right? It has a big W, a capital W, you could say. And of course, a means kanyang one, because lots of titles have lots of words, and you should be using a capital letter for all of your main words. Okay, moving on. I want to take a look now at a pattern. So pattern means something that's repeated over and over again. So there are lots of patterns. For example, we can have a pattern of stripes. In this case, what we're going to do is we're going to work on a writing pattern. So it's a really simple way for you to think about English, because a lot of students are afraid to use English, number one, and number two, they get worried about when you use a lot of English. You know, how do you organize it? How do you put it together? So what we're going to do is we're going to look at a pattern which will help you go from a short answer to a big, full, beautiful answer. So that's what we're going for anyways. The center. Ooh, interesting. Okay, so now we've moved from Kenyang 1, okay? So I'm going to give you some examples of Kenyang 1. So a phone, and if you want to change it and show possession, then I would say my phone, okay, or your phone. So these have the same usage points, so we can adapt it. A piece of paper, a pen, a highlighter, a mouse, a computer. So this is just, you know, when we're just generally talking about something. But when we have something that is only one, for example, when we look at a page, how many centers are there on a page? There's just one. So when there's only one of something, or we want to specify it, then we say the center. So in the center of a circle, right, middle of a circle, the middle, the center. Another example is if you're watching a race, so the first person, the last person, right? Because there's only one of each runner. And then we have block shape. So a block shape, we're going to describe again, is this idea. Now what I wanted to do here is I wanted to get a variety of books to show you that this is actually valid in any language for higher level writing. So this is what we're aiming for, right? So just give me a second. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get some English and Korean. Hemingway. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to find it, because usually I have English conversation. Usually I have a couple of good Korean textbooks for me to use as well. But these are just simple answers. Okay. I don't know where my Korean's gone. English teaching. Let's try this one. I think this should do it. Alright, sorry about that. So I've just pulled these books off of my bookshelf, okay? So we have grade 4 level. We have Ernest Hemingway, who's a really famous American author. Really good book if you want to read it. This is just a novel. And then I have some academic writing, which is in English. Shoot, I thought it was gonna, oh. I only have, anyways, the point is that a block shape is referring to the shape of this, the shape of a paragraph on a piece of paper, right? So we start with a little indent, and then we follow the second sentence right after the first period, and then it goes all the way through, down to the end, and we get this nice block shape, okay? So that's what we're looking for. Doesn't matter if we're using it for academic writing, right? Space, blah, 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 blah. Where's our first period? The first period is here. Second sentence comes right after the first period, and then it goes blah, 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 blah. And there's our beautiful block shape. So this is what we're aiming for. The same here. So this is again my grade 4 level novel. Space means we're starting our new paragraph. And then we go to our second sentence, comes straight after the first period, and then we keep writing, and we get this nice block shape. This is true in Korean as well. I'm really sad because I don't know what I've done with my books. Usually I have a good collection of Korean books. I don't know what I've done with them. Oh, I probably have them over there. Anyways, I can't find them, but I'm sure you can go to your own newspapers or books and take a look, and you will see that same beautiful shape. This is our basic framework for good writing. So please make sure to fill in the uhs, okay? You do not need to submit this. Most of what we do today we're going to use as in-class work, in-class assignment, which means as we talk about it, I will give you time to do it, and you should be doing it as if we were actually in class, which we are. So we're going to move on now to part 1, a review of week 2. What I would like to do first is to review in the textbook. So in this case, I would like you, please, if you want to send it to me, you don't need to send it to me. We're going to look at it together. But the point is that you should be trying this, because if you don't try it, you won't learn it. And then later when you don't get a good mark and you wonder why, this is why. You have to practice. Unfortunately, there's no way around it. Anyways, moving on. So I'm looking at slide number 6. This is our textbook review, which is the bottom of the week 3 page. So we start with circle the correct answer. English style names are the same or opposite to Korean style names. What do you think? Please circle 1. So I'll give you about 10 seconds for each of the short answers. If you need more time, remember, just pause the video and then start it up when you're done. So we're going to move on now to fill in the blanks with first or last. Okay? So if we take a look, and remember, you should be able to use these words interchangeably, which means you can use them all when we talk about Korean style names and when we talk about English style names as well. So if we take a look, we have Korean style family names are, what do you think, first or last? Okay, and the next one, English style family names are first or last? What do you think? And then we notice in brackets it says they're also called what names? Are they called first names or last names? Yes, I know this is not particularly difficult, but we should practice. And then we continue with Korean style given names are, what do you think? Are they first or last? Okay, and our last one, English style given names are first or last? What do you think? Okay, so we're going to take a look now and take it up, okay, which take it up means we're going to look at it together and check to make sure that you got these answers right. Because the basic point of this is that I'm not testing you, I'm trying to get you to consider what's the same and what's different, basically. So our answers, if we look at slide number 7, is English style names are opposite to Korean style. So if you remember, I'm just going to show you. Korean style, English style, but it's the same exact name. So I'm just going to show you actually, physically, because everyone has a different way to learn and a different way to remember things. So I usually try to include body language and motion, as well as tactile things you can touch, grab. And this is especially really useful for young students. So if you can, use lots of body language and use props. Use things that kids can touch or look at or see. So fill in the blanks with first or last. Our first sentence was Korean style family names are first. English style family names, so we switch it, it's the same. Same name, Kim, but in English they come last. So these in English are called last names, and this is the most common way that they are referred to. And then if we take a look here, Korean style given names, 이름, right, are last. But in English, even though it's Jisoo, we still see Jisoo, but we've written it in English letters with 대문자, right? English style given names are first. So these are also called first names. Just checking. I hope that was very easy for you. So next step is to do the same idea, but we're going to change the words and check. Do you remember what these words mean? If not, let's take a look. So fill in the blanks with given or family. So my Momo name is Jimin or Jisoo or whatever, or 이름. And my Momo name is Che. So what do you think? Hopefully you got the answers. We click again and we see my given name is Jimin, is what you should have written, and my family name is Che. So if we move on, we're going to move on now to slide number 9. So slide number 9 is a textbook review also. So this is a review of week 2, and I like to do this just to check and make sure that what we did last week is clear, because a whole week has passed and maybe you've forgotten because I imagine you're very busy. So this is just a good check for yourselves and for me too, to make sure that you are clear on what we have discussed. So textbook review interview steps is you need to fill in the blanks with introduce, know, listen, or react. So this should be quite simple. Please go ahead and try now. Okay, so I tried to give 10 seconds per answer because it should be able to be completed in that time. If you need more time, again, pause the video and continue once you're ready. So I'm moving to slide 10 now, and on slide 10 we can see our answers. So our answers are number 1, the first thing that you should do when you present, when you meet new people, is to introduce yourself English style, because we're using English as the language of communication. It doesn't mean your Korean name is worse or better or anything. They're identical. What we're trying to focus on is communication, right? Number 2 is that you know the different question styles and you match your answers. So if somebody asks you a closed question, which starts with the verb, then we answer with the verb. So, did you go to the doctor yesterday? I did, or I didn't, and we match. Or if someone starts with an open question, one of the W's, we know we cannot answer yes or no because we sound crazy. It is really weird. So if we are asked a question, what did you do yesterday? Then we match. So we had past tense, we need past tense, we gotta match it up and answer, oh, I went to the doctor. Or I played piano, okay? So we match with the verbs matching the tense. Number 3 is we listen to the answers. Of course, this is probably the most important step, which most students ignore. Just because you ask a question doesn't mean your time is over. Actually, communication, we need both people. So listen to the answers and react. Oh, you went to the doctor? Oh, what happened? Do you have a cold? Or do you think you have COVID? Or ask a question, or you can just react. Ooh, ooh, oh wow, that's interesting, something like that. Anyways, this should be relatively easy. So think about how hard you found it. If you found it really, really difficult, you should review. If you found it so-so, you're doing a good job. If you found it easy, excellent, good for you. We're moving on to week 3, part 2 now, which is the basics for organized writing. So this is actually the meat, the main part of our study this week. So what we're going to do here is we're going to take a look at a paragraph. So I'm going to look first at slide number 12. Do you know the saying, ice cream for ice cream? It's a kind of joke. It's called a play on words because ice cream and ice cream sound so similar. So this is a popular joke for grade school students, elementary students. They like this. It's not necessarily in Korea, but in Western cultures this is considered really funny. So today we are going to talk about ice cream sundaes. And please be careful because Sunday is pronounced like the day. It's not pronounced Sunday. And we can figure that out because we've added the ice cream. So please remember it's not ice cream sundaes. Ew, that sounds kind of gross. Anyways, how do we make a sundae? Okay, so this is what we're going to talk about as our example. So I'm moving now to slide number 13, and here are some sundaes. So what I'd like to do is read the paragraph together. Now, we're going to read it together out loud because this is a really simple way for you to practice using your English simply by reading out loud. Lovely, lovely. All right, let's read together. We're going to start with the title and then move from sentence 1 down to the bottom. 1, 2, 3, read. The perfect ice cream sundae. Ice cream sundaes are delicious. There are so many different ingredients that can be used to make the perfect ice cream sundae. It is always best to start with 3 different ice cream flavors. Some favorite flavors are chocolate, vanilla, and strawberry. Next, sauces can be added. Ice cream connoisseurs may enjoy strawberry sauce on strawberry ice cream, chocolate sauce on chocolate ice cream, and marshmallow fluff on vanilla ice cream. Now, stop for a second because I want to check and see, do you know what the word connoisseurs means? I'm not sure if you do. If you're not clear, you can look it up in a dictionary, but essentially connoisseurs means experts, people who are taste experts. So an ice cream connoisseur is someone who knows all about ice creams and who can tell you the best ice creams in the world. Connoisseurs tend to be gourmets. They tend to have very delicate, special tastes. Also, perhaps marshmallow fluff. You may not know what that is. Basically, it's kind of melted marshmallows in a jar. And you just put some fluff on top of the ice cream. So you get marshmallow flavored sauce, basically. Okay, let's continue. 1, 2, 3, go. As a final touch, add toppings. Chopped nuts and colorful sprinkles are a good combination. Before serving, do not forget to top with a cherry. Now, in these pictures, I chose these pictures because if you're not sure what chopped nuts are, if you look at the picture on the right, and we can see some peanuts on the top, So we have the ice cream, the chocolate sauce, and then peanuts on top. If we look on the left side, we can see some colorful sprinkles on the top, and perhaps if you like Dunkin' Donuts, or if you like donuts, you've had a Hawaiian. A Hawaiian donut is a donut which has white icing and then colorful sprinkles on the top as well. So this is a paragraph. Now, I'm fairly sure you know what a paragraph is, but again, if you're not sure, check it up and look it up in the dictionary. And now we're going to move on to slide number 14, and I'm just going to check. There we are. So if we take a look at slide number 14, what I want you to see is the pattern. So this is what we were talking about, pattern. There's something that repeats, repeats, repeats. And this is what we're going to do, is we're going to analyze it together, take it apart, and then we're going to make our own, build our own. So can you see the pattern? What is the topic? So we see here, if we look at the first sentence, ice cream sundaes are delicious. This is our topic. Our topic is ice cream sundaes. And what's our point? Are we trying to say they're good or bad? Well, in this case, we're saying delicious, which means they're really, really good. And then we have one extra sentence which talks about the topic. There are so many different ingredients that can be used to make the perfect sundae. So what we're introduced to here is the idea of the ingredients for a perfect sundae. Okay, so this is going to be our delicious sundae topic. Next, we move to detail number 1. Now we can see this because there's a special word there in the third sentence. So let's read the third sentence again. It is always best to start with 3 different ice cream flavors. So can you see a word there that, oh, detail number 1 must be here. Good, I'm hoping you got to start. So because we see words like start, or first, or for example, these words can bring our focus in to say, we're going to find a detail here. So we've got our detail number 1, which is 3 different ice cream flavors, and the next sentence gives examples of those flavors. So the next sentence we have chocolate, vanilla, and strawberry ice cream flavors. So, you could put anything you want in here. Perhaps your favorite ice cream sundae wouldn't have chocolate, vanilla, and strawberry. Maybe you would like 3 different types of ice cream flavors. What would you like to put on your sundae? Could you name your 3 favorite ice cream flavors? Maybe my mom's an alien, rainbow sherbet, and green tea. I'm not sure, but you should also be thinking about how beautiful it looks. Anyways, moving on. Our detail number 2 also has one of these special words, which brings our focus and says, we can see here is detail number 2. Can you find the word? Well, let's read. We're going to read it together. So we're now looking at sentence number 5, which starts with next. So let's read it together. Next, sauces can be added. Okay, so here we are. Can you see the word that made you think, this should show us where detail 2 is? Good. I'm hoping you said next. So next shows us this is detail number 2, and the extra sentence gives us examples of different sauces. So ice cream connoisseurs may enjoy strawberry sauce on strawberry ice cream, chocolate sauce on chocolate ice cream, and marshmallow fluff on vanilla ice cream. So we have examples of the sauces. Now, detail number 3 is, again, we're going to read here our sentence number 7. So sentence number 7 starts with as a final touch. So can you see the word there that gives us the clue? This is the last detail, detail number 3. Good, I'm hoping you got final. So when we use the word final, it shows that there's a list of things, and this is the last one. So as a final touch, add toppings. So detail number 3 is toppings. Excellent. And then the extra sentence explains what toppings are. So they give example of chopped nuts and colorful sprinkles. And then we restate the topic using different words. So this paragraph our sentence number 9 is, before serving, do not forget to chop with do not forget to top with a cherry. So we're at the end of the sundae. This is how to make our beautiful sundae. So let's take a look now at slide number 15. So if you take a look at slide number 15, what I'd like you to do here is to fill in the blanks. Okay, now you do not need to submit this. This is purely for you, but you should do it because our entire semester is based on this. So if you don't understand this, you will have problems later. So let's take a look together, and we're going to read through it. And then what I'd like you to do is look back at the paragraph and decide what these points are. So we have find these in the paragraph and fill in the information. So the topic, what is the topic? And then next, why are we talking about this topic? And a big clue can be the pictures as well. So remember, our topic we should find in sentence number 1, and why we're talking about the topic can be in sentence number 1 or sentence number 2, but it's right at the start. Detail number 1. Now remember, we looked at the special words which show us what these details are. So we take a look at detail number 1. Can you find it? What is detail number 1? Go. And number 2, can you find detail number 2? And if you remember, we looked at the word next. So if you can find next, you can figure out what the detail is. And one word or 2 words is enough, as long as you get the main point. And what about detail number 3? So remember, detail number 3, our word that kind of brought our focus to it was final. So if you can find that part, we'll be able to find the 3rd detail. What is it? Okay, and we move to the conclusion. So the conclusion is our restating, okay? Can you find the conclusion? If you can find it, then write it down. And if you can't find the conclusion, a big hint is it's always at the end. It's always the last sentence or the last 2 or 3 sentences. Moving on, I have 2 more questions which I'd like you to think about, which is why I chose Batman, thinking, how many sentences are used for the topic, detail 1, detail 2, detail 3, and conclusion? Can you figure it out? Count. It's not hard. Now remember, if you find this at all confusing, talk to your classmates, because actually this type of information is really, it helps a lot when you discuss it, when you talk about it. So let's take a look at the answers and see if your answers match. Don't worry if your answers are a little bit different. What we're looking for is the main points here. You do not need to hand this in again. This is purely for you to check yourself and see if you are clear, if you understand what's going on. So first of all, I have now moved to slide 16. So if we take a look at slide 16, the answers, our topic for this paragraph is ice cream sundaes. And how do we know that? Because the title is what we're talking about. And more specifically, it's actually perfect ice cream sundaes. So what we're looking for here is, why are we talking about this topic? Because we want to prove that sundaes are delicious. They're amazing. We want to show how to make a perfect sundae. So our detail number 1, and remember, our special word for this is start. So detail number 1 is 3 different ice cream flavors. Again, you know, depending on what type of, if you, maybe you don't like Sundays, we can adapt this to anything you can possibly think of. Detail 2 was, and again, we had that special word, which was next. Detail 2 was sauces. And then, of course, we gave some examples of the sauces in the following sentence, which were chocolate sauce, strawberry sauce, and marshmallow fluff. Detail number 3, and again, we had a special word. Do you remember? Final. So as a final touch, we talked about toppings. So toppings was our detail 3, and then the examples of the toppings that they gave in the following sentence were chopped nuts and sprinkles, colorful sprinkles. Again, we move to the conclusion. Now, the conclusion here was top. Before serving, do not forget to top with a cherry. And again, you know, my answer is not identical, but the point is that it carries the same meaning, which means I'm understanding what's happening. So we've got detail 1 star, detail 2 star, and detail 3 star, or asterisk if you prefer. And if we take a look at the bottom, then we'll see what those asterisks mean. So what I wanted to point out here is that the transition words of start, next, and final were used to bring our attention to each of those details. This is something you should copy. It's really good practice. Now, how many sentences did we use for the topic? 2 sentences. How many sentences did we use for details 1, 2, and 3? 2 sentences each. And what about for the conclusion? Did you catch there's a slight mistake here? Only 1 sentence. So a really important part of us writing well is that it's balanced. So if we have 2 sentences for introduction, detail 1, detail 2, detail 3, then how many sentences should we have for the conclusion? Same. Good. So how can we improve the conclusion? We could add 1 more sentence, and then it would be perfect if we talked once more about the perfect ice cream sundae. All right, we're going to move on now to some of your language practice. Now, of course, as I said before, this is a little bit hard because I'm not going to check you, but I will be able to tell if you have not done these things because when I try and talk to you in class, I will be using this type of language to see if you did practice. So in the textbook, we're looking at, this is quite simple, but I really like this because even though it's simple, they're using a full sentence to describe somebody, and they're using 2 adjectives to describe somebody. So in the textbook, we're looking at he is smart and friendly, describing personality, so the inside style someone has. And I'm just going to read through the page together. Please read with me. 1, 2, 3, read. Getting ready. A. Which words describe these people? Match the correct word to each person in the picture. So if we take a look, can you find, I put the picture up here because I think in color it's much clearer. This is the same picture as what's in your textbook. So let's read all of the different descriptions of personality that we can see going from A to M. Let's read. A, honest. B, funny. C, adventurous. D, hardworking. E, friendly. F, creative. G, neat. H, careless. I, greedy. J, shy. K, stubborn. L, talkative. And M, lazy. So what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to choose who do you think these people are like? How would you describe each of these students and the teacher? Now, perhaps a few of these words you may not be familiar with. Stubborn might be new to you, I'm not sure. Stubborn is a great word. Stubborn is for people who refuse to change. So this is a very useful description. So anyways, if you don't know them, please look it up. What I'd like you to do then is I would like you to call a partner, call your friend, classmate preferably, and do B pair work. So let's read together to see what you're going to do. 1, 2, 3, read. B, pair work. Describe your classmates using the words above with your partner. A, what's. Now, what you can do here is you can supply your classmates' names from your class. So I'd like you to try 3 classmates and describe them using some of these words. So what do you think? Do you have any classmates who are friendly? Do you have any classmates who are very neat? I'm not sure if you're familiar with neat. Neat is the opposite of messy. So messy means that you just put things anywhere, doesn't really matter. Neat means everything is precise and very clearly marked out, put on your desk, something like that. So talk about your classmates. What are they like? Then we're going to move on to the conversation. So conversation, what I'd like you to do is to repeat the conversation. But what I'd like you to do is practice the 4 dialogues with the same partner. I think that's quite easy. But of course you're going to adapt it and use your own names. Then we're going to try something. Okay, so this is going to be your homework. But what I'd like to do is I would like you to choose a picture of someone you like on your phone. So it could be, for example, a singer. It could be, I don't know, singers, dancers, actors. It could be one of your family members. It could be someone you think is particularly handsome, maybe models or anything you want. But what you do is, and it could be a picture that you have or you can find it on the internet, but you do need to save the picture, please, because you're going to talk about it with your friends. So I'm going to show you a picture of my cat. This isn't actually really a picture of my cat, but I'll show you a picture of my real cat. Now this is just an example because I thought that some students would perhaps not be sure about what to do. Okay, so anyways, find a picture, do it right now, you can do it at the same time as I'm doing. You want to find someone that you like. Okay, so here's my picture. I chose a picture of my cat. Okay, save it to your phone so we can use it later. I'm going to move on now to slide number 18. So slide number 18 is, again, we're going to talk about basics for organized writing. Now, this is simply on the PowerPoint. It's not a part of your book. Because what we're going to do is I just want to bring your attention again to a few points before you start on your homework assignment. So basics for organized writing, when we talked about the ice cream sundae, the reason why I focused on this is because this is a paragraph, okay? Now, the point of this is that we need to include a title, and the title should be 5 or 6 words or less, and each of the main words in the title should have capital letters. Also, there should be 10 sentences. So we've got our title, 10 sentences, and we start with the indent. So do you remember the indent is the space at the beginning to show you're starting? And then it should be a block shape. So if we go do, 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 the second sentence should start right after the first period, okay? It should not be sentence, next line, sentence, next line, sentence. That is incorrect. That is sentence, sentence, sentence. We are not writing a sentence, we're writing a paragraph, which means we need that block shape. So let's take a look now at slide 19. You only got a few slides left and then you're done, so you're doing a great job. I'm sorry I'm running a little long. Academic writing basics. So once again, this is what we're looking at. So as you click, you'll see an arrow to point to what we're specifically looking at. So once again, a paragraph is 10 sentences. So the first point we're looking at is the title, 5 words, 6 words, or less. And you should capitalize the first letter of every word. You must capitalize the first word and you must capitalize the last word. You do not need to capitalize prepositions in the middle. Prepositions are the little words like of, to, the. But you must, it's simpler to capitalize every word. Number 2, in green we have an indent. So this is the space to show that you're going to begin the paragraph. And number 3 is to create the block shape, you need to start the next sentence after the period, directly after, not on a new line. Moving now to slide number 20, your week 3 assignment. What I would like you to do is to type a paragraph about the picture. One person or one pet that you chose, please write 10 sentences to introduce what this person or pet is like and why you like them. 2 sentences, which is one detail that you want to discuss. 2 sentences that give a second detail you wish to discuss. 2 sentences that give a third detail you want to talk about. And finally, 2 sentences that restate who that person or pet is and why you admire them. So what I've done is I've given you an example, but before we go on to the example, I want to remind you, please don't forget, type the paragraph. Don't write it in your handwriting and then take a picture. Please type it. This is good practice for you to type in English. Please also use the Times New Roman font, and the size should be 12. Choose a good title. So remember, the title should be the main topic, which should be in 6 words, 5 words or less, and each of those words should have a capital letter. Also, write your English style name under the title to the right, so I'm looking from your perspective. And of course, you should have the indent, the little space at the beginning to show I'm going to start a paragraph, and it should be that beautiful block shape. So I've got an example here if you look at slide 22. So here is my amazing cat, Poca. Now, this is my real cat, and that's a cat I got off the internet. So actually, the eyes are flipped, but close enough. So here's my title, My Amazing Cat Poca. And again, we notice that the title is in the middle, and it is 4 words, which are about the topic. So I'm going to talk about my cat. Her name is Poca, and she's amazing. Also, it's each of those words has a capital letter. Next, below the title to the right, I have my name, which today is Jisoo Kim, and my student number. And then I have my spaces, the space to start, to show that I'm going to start my paragraph. And then I start with my introduction. I have an awesome cat named Poca. She makes me so happy. Okay, so this is my introduction. First, there's my transition word. Here's my detail number 1. She's really talkative. And then I want to explain that. I know that sounds strange because she's a cat, but it is true. When you speak to her, she talks back. Now, I actually wrote 3 sentences, but I want to turn 2 sentences into 1 because I want to stick to 2 sentences for each. So I changed it and said, I know that sounds strange because she is a cat, but it is true because when you speak to her, she talks back. And I don't like because done twice, so we're going to say as she is a cat, but it is true because when you speak to her, she talks back. Next, she is really pretty. don't break words up on a line. If there's not enough room on the line, don't have, for example, here I have really, so I don't have enough room to put R-E-A-L-L-Y on one line, so I just move it to the next line. Next, she is really pretty, so now I'm going to explain how she's pretty. She has thick white fur and odd eyes, which means she has one blue eye and one green eye. And then I've got my finally, so again, this is another one of those transition words. She follows me everywhere. And there's not enough room for everywhere, so we're going to put it on the next line. Sometimes this is annoying because she does follow me everywhere, but most of the time I realize I'm lucky to have such a sweet buddy because she is my buddy. Do you know Buddy? My friend. Turkish Angoras, that's the type of cat she is, are a lovely breed as pets, as I've described, because they are very gentle, very sweet. I really love my amazing cat, Polka. Okay, so this is an example of a paragraph. Your paragraphs should look something like this, and this is your homework assignment for week number 3. I hope you have a great week and stay safe and as healthy as possible. Take care of yourselves and your family. Goodbye.